Hey folks, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with AstrologyMojo. I hope you're doing well. Happy full moon in Virgo. How did that go for everyone? Okay, so we're here. We are here. And we're going to be talking about Jupiter. Well, let me just show you. We're talking about Jupiter conjuncting Chiron. And what else? Saturn trining Mars. So let me just get there. I'm actually going to show you what that looks like when Saturn aspects, when Saturn trines, which means it's a positive angle. So it's actually by the end of this month, exact degree, which means 2 degrees, 2 degrees. Oh, can you see that? When I do, let me do it this way. Here's Mars. I was doing it wrong. There's Mars, 2 degrees, and then there's Saturn, 2 degrees. But we're actually in it already because a conjunction is, or a trine or any angle is within 8 degrees. So we're there. What? Okay, let's just start from the beginning. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with AstrologyMojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. And when I talk about astrology, it's from the perspective of you having the power. Planets don't do anything to you. Everything you feel in the world, in the universe, in your bedroom, in your kitchen, in your community is an influence, yes, because you feel it, you make an assessment, then you make a choice about how you want to approach that thing or avoid that thing or interact with that thing. So the planets are the same. They don't do anything to you. You will feel things happen, especially with sun and moon cosmic events. Solar lunar eclipses, full moons, solar flares, when the sun spits out some extra stuff, plasma, and we feel it. It affects our technology. When the moon is full, like we just had, we're still feeling it in Virgo since we are in Pisces season. So this whole interaction in astrology is to show you what you're choosing. Now, if you could go back in time, what would you do differently? That's the question. And so let's just call it an invisible portal is opening. A little door is opening with these conjunctions. If you look down below, Jupiter, Chiron, Mars, Saturn, and you're going to be able to release the past in a much more, easy way. We want it to be easy, but that's up to you. So when we're looking at, here we are, Mars, which represents your, I'm going to back this up. I'm going to reset and say when Mars enters 0 degrees of Cancer, it's on March 25th. And so then you see Mars is making a trine. That's my green triangle that I set up. And that's a happy thing because it's like the connection is in you and you are ready to take that momentum that represents Mars in Cancer and combine it with your wisdom and things that you already know how to do, your resource pack, and put it into something magical or spiritual, and or can deal with medicine, and or can deal with organizing people. It depends on where Saturn and Mars are in your chart. Now, if you were an Aquarius rising, Saturn would be in your first house, approximately, depending on degree, and Mars would be in your 5th house. So those two topics of those houses, combined with the topics of the planets in the signs, would equal what's happening for you. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so I'm just going to move this. So what else? Oh, okay, Jupiter and Chiron. Jupiter represents expansion, and this is Jupiter right here, and it's in Aries. And it's going to be, I don't know why this is not showing Chiron. Oh gosh, oh gee. So, I don't know why it's not showing Chiron, but it's actually, Chiron is right here. It's not showing it today in my computer. It did in my other computer. Oh, well. We'll just have to deal with it. So when Jupiter, which is all about expansion and benevolence and generosity, but also overindulgence, is in the sign of Aries, sometimes it can be very narrow-minded. It's like, it's this way and that's the way it is, and that's the only way it ever can be. So you want to be careful of Jupiter in Chiron, in Aries, representing that part of you that says it is only this way. Now, Chiron, to most of the world, they will say that Chiron represents the wounded healer. And what I say through my research is that Chiron represents the wound that you share with your masculine parent. So, and it doesn't have to be a big time negative thing. Hey, Sage is here. Thanks. I was on a trip and my head is still reeling. So I'm kind of spacey. And we went from a blizzard, which we were not in the blizzard. We went from a blizzard at, I don't know, it's like 29 degrees here in Sedona last week or the week before. And then now it's heading up to 60 degrees. So it's like a forced bloom for things. And I'm sneezy today. Anyway, thank you. So Chiron as the wounded healer, but more the wound you share with your father. And it's not so much, let's just get rid of that for a minute. When it's not so much you saying, oh, I'm cursed or I've got the burden. It's no, I want you to look at your behavior because you have the ability to heal yourself on every level. Absolutely. Hands down. No doubt. You're a sentient, celestial, eternal being. You have this ability. And now as you are merging biology with divinity, what is happening is you're activating parts of yourself through your mind, your experience, through breath work, through proper nutrition. You know, it's the whole gamut. You have a body that needs attention. And so by upping your vibration, what happens is you start to realize, oh, I brought that on myself. So then that narrow-minded Jupiter and Aries, which represents the part of you that is narrow-minded, and we all are to some degree, or we are fixed on a thing being a certain way, then it starts to open and you make room for possibilities. And when you do that in your brain, you wire new connections, neurologically speaking. So then you say to yourself, okay, if I am the magnet for everything in my world, I have just brought into my world this experience. Either I needed to set a boundary to it, for which you are responsible, vocally or, physically, or I need to be aware that I was not as aware as I could have been in that situation. And it has results. Right? So think of any time you're talking to someone, family, friend, coworker, and you say something and then they kind of clam up and they walk away and you're thinking, okay, whatever. And then you start to think, oh, because you have a conscience, maybe I said something that offended them. Yikes. Oh no, what do I do? Well, they won't talk to me. Or, 6 months later they say, and that time you did that thing. And you're like, whoa, okay. I'm so sorry, but I wish you would have approached me sooner. Now so it's like people hold in their stuff. It's a narrow, fixed vision. They should know better. I tripped and stubbed my toe and they were talking about buying these open-toed sandals that I can't wear, whatever the issue is that you take offense to. I want you to just chill out and relax. Just take a breath, because when Jupiter in Aries conjuncts Chiron, it's about you looking at your lineage. And a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I have a neck thing, or I've got this bunion thing. My dad had that. Yeah. So it runs in the family. Or I got that from my dad. Or if you didn't have a father growing up, it's that I was abandoned. So that's why that's why I'm abandoned by relationships in my world. So when you're fixated on this is how it is, and I think I mentioned this once or twice before, I knew someone, past tense, because their belief system was not expansive. They just were not growing. And this person had a relationship that was not healthy. So, and I said, well, why is he out there fixing your fence? She said, well, what can I do? It's karmic. He keeps showing up. Like, okay, you have words. You could say goodbye and no and go away. Right. So but to her Jupiter in Aries it's karmic. So he's meant to be in my life for whatever reason. Okay. So if you have a belief that is not expansive for you into joy and prosperity and into those places of absolute bliss, you need to rethink what you're attached to. And that's what the Jupiter Chiron thing for me, when I look at it, represents. So I want you to look at, yeah, I used to do this and I would say, oh my gosh, I started to have in my 20s and 30s, I started to have the same ailments as my father. And I would say, yeah, it runs in the family. But there was this like nagging thing in the back of my mind saying, no, it doesn't. So I had to pay attention to that. And I'm so glad I did, because then I released a lot of physical ailments that didn't belong to me. That was my way of connecting with Dad. I know, Dad, me too. Yeah, it's painful, right? To have that thing. Oh, that crick. Yeah, I got it too. And my toe, I can't. Yeah, me too. Must be genetic. No, you can change your gene expression. That is scientifically proven now. So when you say I got it from somebody, no, you didn't. You have it because you believe you're supposed to have it, and or you become aware of the fact that you have it. And so then if you have certain color eyes and then you give birth, or you have a child and they have the same color eyes, that is also genetics. But it's not a positive nor a negative thing. Right? So you want to look at what things you have that you have perpetuated with this narrow belief system that that's the way it is. It's karmic. It's a bloodline thing. I can't let it go. It's, I have my father's hips or whatever. Well, sometimes that might take a little work, but maybe you could change that. But I'm talking about the patterns that stop you from having what you want, what you came here to create. You came here to create a reality that speaks your truth. That's it. Done. So when I started pulling cards today, and this was interesting because I went right for the dice, the astro dice. And the first one that came out is, okay, the number 3, which is communication. And I said, let's see, what should I talk about regarding on Facebook Live and on YouTube? What would be a great topic? And then the South Node came out. And then this has never happened to me. Oh, where is it? Da, 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 da. No, that's Leo. Oh, cha-cha mabuga. Where is it? Oh, there it is. No, that's Leo. But the North Node came out. I just lost it. I keep looking at Leo going, oh, that's it. But the North Node and the South Node came out simultaneously. That is unusual for me. Anyway, I can't find it. I'm spinning and I'm getting dizzy, but I just had it. So North Node and South Node. How is that possible? Let's take a look at that. Okay. We're going to branch over out of Chiron and Jupiter. And Chiron is technically, right here by the end of the month, but it's already conjunct. And Saturn is trining Mars. So that's a positive angle. And a trine is 120 degrees in astrology. And what it shows you is something that facilitates an open door. So, or it can be, oh, I feel extra. I got so many things done in advance. I could just take the day off. I can have a free day. I could be lazy if I want to. So it's just like things are going, yeah, you're chill. You got the surfer chicken Joe attitude. It's like, yeah, it's all good. That's a trine. And blessings come because your higher inner being is already manifesting. You are consciously manifesting. You are also unconsciously manifesting what you believe. So in a trine, and this is authority, magical, scientific, medical, artistic, spiritual, mystical. So you learn from an authority, you become an authority, you in these topics, fashion, film, photography as well. And then your momentum is around nurturing. Now, on the downside with Saturn trining Mars, it's you get a little bit too fixated on the type of help someone needs, and you want to do it for them. If that's a downside. If that's a pattern, yeah, then we look at Jupiter Chiron. It's like you don't need to help everybody. It's just you don't. It's not your job. People need to help themselves. So the draw here with this trine, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep that out and open, and I am going to go to the points. This is so cool. And I'm going to show you, let's just take away Mercury and Pluto and Neptune for now. So look at this. I just saw this. So maybe that's why I got the north and south nodes. Look at that. We have Mars is trining the south node, and so is Saturn. That is a grand trine. A grand trine is when it involves three things. It's a passive grand trine, astrologically speaking, because really grand trine is only between planets, and the south node is not a planet. But this spirit called this to my attention to talk about this. Okay, let me just get a handle on it. So when Saturn trines the south node, there is something. South node has been there, done that, finished it, and or it's toxic, and you need to like walk away. Or you're done, or you're graduated. And okay, I finished. Now I can up a level, somewhere in the world of business or in finance, with relationships, with my health, with building that house or whatever it is, right? Relationships, wealth, health, passion, purpose. It's all in there. So when Saturn is trining, and they use Scorpio is a very deep and profound energy, also deals with sexuality. And there's Pisces, and that's very nurturing and very soft and not always verbal. Not always verbal. So it can be an energetic healing. As you let go, South Node, of the past, you take back your power, Saturn, your authority, and you do it in a much more spiritual way. And then you are profoundly healed from the inside out. I like that. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then Mars is a very proactive energy in us. It's our momentum. How do we want to roll through it? How do we want to plow through it? And in Cancer, it can be passive aggressive. It can be holding in anger and then attracting angry situations to you. So an angry situation would be, and I remember this from years ago, I knew someone who was an ornery kind of person, very persnickety, very judgmental. And I saw him with a black eye. And I said, oh, and he was a proprietor of a store. And I said, oh my gosh, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I had a thing with the store down the block. And the guy punched me in the face. Like two professional people. And this is how they interacted. Okay. Yeah, not really high vibing. And this man who got punched was a Cancer. I don't know about the other guy, but I thought, okay, maybe you need to open up and express more and not hold it in such a defensive manner. So that said, with this trine here and this minor grand trine, I would say that your momentum is, I can't wait to let this go. I'm so ready to let this go. So if you're in a like, talk to me, come say hello. We're talking about Mars trining Saturn. And this is all through March. Look at that. I'm looking at March 25th. And if I go forward in time, where's my speed dial? Where's my energetic speed dial here? Ooh, I'm getting dizzy. Mm-hmm. Now let's see. It's still at 2. I'm going to go up here. And we can see Saturn is at 3 degrees and right about there. So through mid-April, all right, all through March, through mid-April, Saturn is going to be trining Mars. So during this time frame, let me just bring it back to where we are now. So all throughout this time frame, I want you to be able to get a handle on what is the pattern. It's always about patterns. What is the pattern that keeps happening that does not make you feel good? Been there, done that. You've lost your power. Or maybe you were the perpetrator and it's time to fess up and apologize. But always in a relationship, it takes two. Takes two. That's the harmony of, give and take. It takes two, doesn't it? So you can say to someone, well, yeah, you were given that job that I was vying for at work and that project, and you knew that I wanted it and you didn't ask me to be on your team. That really pissed me off. Or I'm just making stuff up. Or you say to a spouse or a family member, right now, I don't want to set you off, but right now you sound so much like dad. And I don't think that that's really you. It is. And then of course that could be a trigger. Ever tell somebody, yeah, you sound just like mom. And it's not a positive thing. You sound just like dad. And that's like a family trigger. So depending again on where Jupiter and Chiron are conjunct in your chart, and or where Saturn is trine Mars in your chart, and that would be where Cancer is, where Pisces is, and where Aries is. And of course, now with this attention drawn to the South Node, where South Node in Scorpio is. So again, I'm going to take the moon out of the picture. I'm going to take Venus out of the picture. Let's take the sun out of the picture. And I'm going to take Uranus out of the picture. Okay, so I don't know why it's not showing up, but it ought to. And right here is where Chiron is. And so if I go slowly through time and do that, and that. Okay, so I'm going to go slowly through time so you can see as the days right there. Look, it's March 11th. It's 12th. Let's go a little faster. And look at how, look what we have. So it technically starts on March 20th with the mini trine between Mars, Saturn, and South Node, but Mars is still in Gemini. And by the way, if you are a Gemini sun, rising, or moon, this might be a very busy time for you. It represents people who have Mars in Gemini, people who are a Gemini sun, rising, or moon. They are just inundated with busyness and or lots of thoughts. So then we move it forward and bing, Mars is in Cancer, starting approximately March 25th. I didn't do it because it's already 17 minutes in. So it could be the 24th. It depends on where you live in the world. So, but basically that's what we're looking at. And I also see that Jupiter, new to me, is quintiling Mars, that's exciting. That's a very creative aspect. So it can deal with art itself. It can deal with spiritual development, a spiritual awareness. Like, I just felt the need to doodle one day, and I came up with this design, and someone saw it and said at a cafe and said, I am a graphic artist and I'm looking to make prints and blah and whatever. Life will surprise you between now and April 15th. And I'm not talking about tax day in America. Or although if you do have Mars in the second or eighth house, or Saturn or Jupiter in the second or eighth house, then it could be a financial thing. Maybe you're getting a promotion or a bonus and you don't know it. Maybe you're being moved from one department to the next and you start to grumble thinking, wait, no, but you got to go with the flow. The trines represent an open door. And that's exciting. Come say hello to me. Who's here? So, nothing ever starts or stops on a dime. And I also pulled in the universe, right? So it's not like the exact thing, but it's like things like flow in, they flow out. And during the full moon that we just had in Virgo, of course, people might have been really overwhelmed or just like in their head or looking to make something beautiful. Virgo energy can be so judgmental and anal and also aesthetic. And the Virgo energy shares with Capricorn and Taurus, the other earth signs. And it can be very dynamic with, look at this new design, look at this new artwork. And I literally looked at stuff in my house and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so. I took this photograph in Portland, Oregon, many years ago of a tree. And I made a coaster out of it. There it is. It's a tree trunk. And I loved the bark. And this is the kind of thing that Virgo would take and bring you to an art show and say, look at this artist. Or look at how we can design something together. Or look at how we can help a group of people. And so it's that earth is beautiful. And we can do something with that. We can do something. What do you want to do? Hey, Rhonda's here too. So I started pulling some cards right before I got online. Moonology, the Oracle deck. Yasmin Bolin was very kind to gift these to me. We were going to do business together, but we decided not to. But that's cool too. We all do our thing. But anyway, so I was flipping the cards, and this is the first one that came out, Supermoon. Of course, it's not a supermoon, but it is a full moon energy, and emotions are running high. So, my green screen isn't working so great. So, are emotions running high for you? Do you feel extra tired? Or are you so enthusiastic about getting something done that you just can't wait to get going? And then these are all moon cards, right? So, the waning moon, which is coming up next week. Whoopsie. Okay, closing that notification. The waning moon that's coming up next week, because the full moon, it starts to wane, and then the new moon is, you can't see it in the sky. That's why it's great to look at the stars on a new moon. So super moon, then the waning moon. What do you need to release? And that's the Saturn and Mars trining south node. What do you need to release? And it can be in a really great way. And then next is the new moon. Of course, this would be in September if it were the new moon in Pisces. But let's talk about a new moon that's coming up next after the waning moon. And then here comes the new. I just disappeared. I don't understand what's happening technologically speaking. I didn't change any dials. Meditate and contemplate. Meditate and contemplate. Meditate and contemplate. So I think that's very key for everyone, anytime, not just now. Does that make sense? I hope this is helping. So when you go back to your daily lives, I'm going to pull from another deck. Hang on. When you go back to your daily lives, What is it that you would like to let go of that no longer serves you? It could be a habit. It can be a thought that, well, all habits stem from thoughts, but it can be a thought that doesn't feel good. It's not vibing, because with Mars in Cancer, and with Saturn in Pisces, and then of course, I don't know why Chiron's not there, but Chiron's right there. Jupiter and Chiron. It's no longer about what they did to you. It's no longer about, I inherited that, so now it's my burden. It's not about that anymore. It's that letting go so that you can heal on a deep level. And in the water signs, we've got Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. It can feel big, and it can feel beautiful. It can feel like, I've been through it. I've been through a hard time. I've been through a really rough time. And now I just need to cry and let it go. And I know it feels better already. Like I had to let something go. And because I was willing to do that, Jupiter, Chiron, the willingness to own the narrow vision, to broaden it and expand it into something enthusiastic, into something that feels less like a burden, less like this is it for the rest of my life here on earth, and more like, oh, what else is possible? That's when you make new neurons and you form new connections in your brain and you wire that and hardwire a possibility. Oh, and then I love it. And then you're off on the uncharted sea in the month of Pisces. I love that. Uncharted sea. So you get to choose your direction because you're not tied to the past anymore. And it can be one issue. I mean, it doesn't have to be everything you've ever committed to that depletes you. That's a big purge. That's a Pluto conversation. But the uncharted sea is more about, oh, and this one just fell out too. Sacred reverence. That's beautiful. So what do you hold sacred? What is it that you would like to open? Look at that key. Open the door in your heart. Let go of something that no longer serves you. I mean, that's the conversation forever on this planet. Just let it go. You don't have to be right. My husband's business mentor once said, you could be right or you could be dead right. Or if you want to cut off the problem, you can use like a sharp blade, or we can use an axe or a butter knife. I mean, these are men talking, so I wouldn't say it like that, but you get the meaning. It's like, are you going to like drag it out, or are you going to realize what you're worth and expand on that and then heal? And I'm talking like physically heal, whether it's, oh, my hip is hurting, my neck. I've learned so much over my lifetime because I love to research health and well-being. So, and because I am here to merge biology with divinity, that's my gig, and pass it along to you, and write historical fiction, fantasy, and do readings and everything I love to do. And so, when parts of your body are talking to you and not working properly because you are ignoring parts of your body, or overdoing something, the Jupiter vibe. If you're overdoing something, it's going to show up in a fiery way, like, oh, I have indigestion. Okay, once maybe you ate some French fries and you're not used to eating greasy food, that's once. But if it's a constant thing, that's something you need to look at and let go of the pattern of stuffing food down your face instead of feeling your feelings, right? So that's just like one thing. So look at your patterns, examine them, what you do, and not attribute them to, oh, this is why I do that, because I was cheated, when I was 22, somebody robbed me, stole my car, and this is why I don't drive today. Okay, that's very limiting. It must have been traumatic. I feel for you. Honestly, I've been through it too. We're all in this together, kids. So But if you're limiting and you're narrowing your focus, Jupiter Chiron, which should be right here, then you're not expanding. Then you're not utilizing the momentum to nurture. And Cancer also deals with home, finances, writing, children and women issues, and protection, like the law. So maybe you're making that decision to say, I felt so angry and upset. I wanted to divorce and sue him for everything he was worth. But take responsibility, Saturn, for your part in that relationship. So if you feel like a victim, the victim will come to you or the perpetrator will come to you. So that's what I'm talking about, patterns. It's like, oh my gosh, if you are acting just like your dad, just write down what those patterns were, not a judgment. It's like, oh, if your dad was condescending and erudite and he knew everything, so are you that, or are you the exact opposite? And did you attract that into your life? If your dad was always saying, oh, I made a mistake. That's what my dad always did. Oh, I made a mistake. I fixed the doorknob. He was a fix-it guy. He could do anything. Made a mistake. It's like what he was really saying was, I am a mistake. And he wasn't. So we had many conversations about that before he left this world. And so the failures that can follow this line of thinking, it's time to let that go. You've got the open door now this month through April 15th, March through April 15th. Do it. Take it. Even if you just pick one topic, they're attached to many other instances and people. Now, you may find that people start to leave your life or you start to leave theirs because you no longer resonate. So then what happens is things overlap and you're on that, okay, there it is. I kept it out. The uncharted sea. I went on a cruise with my husband. It was fantastic. The ship was too big for me, too many people. I was overwhelmed. But that said, I didn't focus on that. I focused on the places we went to, the people that I did my meditations every day in the cabin or on the balcony, and there's the water. If you're on Instagram, you saw the double rainbow on the ocean, the picture that I took. It was like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's beautiful. And there I was in the uncharted sea myself. And thinking, all right, gee, it would be great to chat with people. It would just be great to chat with people who would like to chat with me. That's all I thought, like once or twice. And that was it. And we did our thing. We went into the library with a candlestick. No, clue. We went into the library and to get some books, and there was a couple there. And I told my husband previously, I said, when you lead with, hey, yeah, I did stand-up comedy or whatever, it relaxes people. It gets them engaged. It makes them want to know more. And then we start a conversation. But he didn't lead with that. We were talking about books. So the gentleman, we asked him, my husband said, well, what book are you looking to get? And he said, well, that one in the case. We had to wait for the librarian to come and unlock the bookcases. And he said, that book right there, it's like everything you need to know in the universe or something like that. And we thought that was funny. And so we started this conversation. And he said, I have to go check on my son or whatever. And his wife came in and we were talking, and she was very, yes. And she was lovely. And we were talking about different books. And then she asked what we did. And my husband kind of went, I'm a former stand-up comic. And she was like, her whole demeanor changed. She was like, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And blah, 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 blah. So we had this great conversation. And then days go by, we're doing our thing. There's many thousands of people on the ship. Half the number of the people in my town were on that ship. I live in a small town. So, and one day we're just sitting having breakfast and we're looking out of the window and it's beautiful. And Dean says, behind the plant, he goes, I think that's the couple and I turn around and it's like, hey, hi. And we started chatting. We had so much in common. We had the best conversation, and they had to leave to go on an excursion. So, but it's like, she said, give me your phone. What's your email? Where do you live? Like, what's your blah, blah? So it's like potential new friend. So when you branch out of the fixed way of being and you create new wires in your brain, you're ready to start something new. And I want to see that happen for all of you. All right, so I'm going to end up now on one final card. Let's see. Twice I was playing with the cards, and this came out twice. Earth Magic. And it's a number 1. It's all about individuality and independence. Get grounded. Get grounded in how magical you are. Get grounded in how magical you are. And I want you to love that you are love. Will you do that? Will you do that for the rest of the planet? That's your contribution right there. Love that you are love. And I will be back next week. As always, I wish you peace. And I'll see you next time.